This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
Well, hello. Welcome to Agony Rants. This is Agony Rants, but it's not Agony Rants. We are still on our Christmas break and we will return with a new season on the 8th of January. We are really looking forward to that. agony@gmail.com if you want to get in touch. We want your problems. We want your topics. We want you. Just get in touch and we would love to hear from you. In the meantime, we are doing a feed swap with Tell Me Everything, which is a fantastic new podcast. We are going to post an episode of their show and they're going to post an episode of Agony Rants. So that's exciting. This is my episode of a new podcast. It's called Tell Me Everything. It's hosted by the fabulous Liam Gareau. Every week, guests bring their 3 favourite things from pop culture. I brought the incomparable Bette Midler, the inimitable KYLIE Minogue, and the iconic Golden Girls. It was such a fun chat just gushing about these absolute divas. Liam also revealed to me a deep, dark secret that shook me to my core, and I'm sure it will do the same to you. If you enjoy, you can check out the show's Instagram at Tell Liam Everything for more content, and make sure to follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. I loved doing this show. Liam is so much fun. He pops up on loads of different podcasts, huge podcasts. Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant and he is a really fun guy and I really like him and I really think you're going to love the show. So enjoy. We'll be back on the 8th of January.
Oh my God. Babes. Hello, everyone. I'm Liam Gareau. Welcome to Tell Me Everything. Listen, in the event that you haven't listened to the show before, let me give you a quick rundown. This really is about being nerds. That's really what the show is. It's about letting both myself and my guest nerd out about absolutely everything and everyone that they love in art and in pop culture, and really kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty of like why they love these things and these people so much. And also, I should say, nothing is off the table. Whether we're talking about the absolute most gorgeous prestige performance from an Oscar-winning movie or the most debaucherous moment from trash reality TV, I really do want to hear it all. And each week, I'm going to be bringing to you a brand new guest who's going to come on with 3 things that I want them to tell me everything about. And on this week's show, when I tell you that we have an absolute gem of a human being, Gearóid Farrelly, he is a very funny comedian who's performed at comedy festivals quite literally all over the world. And you can listen to his very funny podcast, Agony Rants, wherever podcasts are available. And if you want to see him live, which you totally should, he is currently on tour with his newest stand-up show, Glamour Hammer. And if you want to know about dates and where he's performing, 2 pieces of information. Either go to his Instagram or go to his website, gearoidfarrelly.com, and then you can get all caught up. There's really no point in keeping you waiting. This is my gorgeous chat with the one, the only, he's such a peach, Gearóid Farrelly. Gearóid Farrelly, we need to let the audience know the emotional journey that's brought us to this moment right now. When I tell you, audience, this is our 3rd time trying to record this intro. We have really gone through the ringer. I mean, when you talk about the Sisyphean task that is trying to just broker a stable Wi-Fi connection. I mean, Sisyphus has got nothing on us. Nothing. A rock up a hill, nothing. A dream in comparison to this.
It's been difficult, I'm not going to lie. And I think it's my fault. I think it's my Wi-Fi connection. And also what happens to me as well, when I'm recording with somebody that's on the West Coast, okay, what happens is I go into my spare room, which is kind of like an office, and I turn off the fan and I close all of the windows and I dress nicely because you're recording video, and then I realize how hot it is at this time of night. So I will be, by the end of this, like I hope that the video that you post is like really sweaty.
Well, I hope you know that you have absolute carte blanche throughout the interview to just strip away each individual article of clothing as we go. And we will both probably finish this episode. By the end of this, when I tell you that we will both be naked and a mess. Just a mess. Because also, now let me ask you, this is a real question. Are you like a sweater?
No, not really. But I am at the moment. Now I am, I'm 2 layers. There's 2 layers on me, and I have, what's that thing? The hyperhidrosis? Is that what it's called?
I'll believe it.
Yeah, I think that's what I have today.
I don't know. I have the kind, like, so and this is a true story. I once was dancing because I used to be a person who would go out, and I once was dancing at this, like, in this underground parking lot. It was part of a theater festival. It made sense at the time. But I was so warm and sweating so profusely that a friend who bumped into me that night later on told me he couldn't fathom that I was that sweaty just on my own. He naturally assumed I was on drugs, which I was not. Like, that is how profuse a sweater I am. Like, I need only stand erect, and then I will feel the one bead drop down my back. That's all I need, Gearóid.
Well, that is a man who has never danced properly the way you should dance in an underground car park.
I dance, honestly, apparently, like, my life depends on it.
Liam, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. That's the way dancing should be. Like,
Yes.
these people that just toe tap on the fringes, they need to cop on.
If
That's
I
not
don't
what life's about.
If I don't shatter my femur at least once while I'm dancing, I haven't done my job.
Every good night out should end up getting an x-ray.
That's exactly right. If I don't end in the ER, I mean, what are we even doing?
We're not finished.
We're not finished. Yeah, literally, if we go home and I'm not in the backseat of an ambulance, I go, guys, I've got one more song in me. I've got one more dance left. Now, wait, should we also tell people, you and I'm so miffed about this, but you and I could have almost met in person but a few days ago.
I know. I couldn't believe this. I don't know why. I always thought you were in Los Angeles. And when I was asked to do this, I was like, totally, I can't wait to do this. But I was in Vancouver for a wedding.
Yes.
A wedding that I went to solo, I should say.
I could have been your plus one.
You could have been the plus one, Liam.
Who doesn't love a wedding crasher? Like, Gearóid, It's so funny. You RSVP'd one, and yet there is a second body with you.
Yeah, and where's your boyfriend, Gearóid? Why have you hooked up with somebody in Vancouver, and should we tell him?
Yeah, I'm just like, hi. Just me rolling on in. Well, no, I know. I was because we should tell people we're in a bit of a time machine right now, because right now we're beginning of July. So you just went to, who was it, by the way, that got married?
My friends Alan and Darren. They're two Irish guys who they moved to Vancouver, which I was furious about in 2015. And I haven't forgiven them, but I went to their wedding. I won't. I'll never forget them. No.
And you went to their wedding, and we could have hung out.
We could have hung out, and it would have been so nice.
I know.
And also, I was staying in an Airbnb that, I am not joking, was the most terrifying place I have ever been.
Tell me everything. What happened?
If somebody told me that this was also, an amateur morgue, I would have believed it.
Do you remember where in the city you were staying?
I was staying on 10th, East 10th.
10th, and do you remember your cross street?
Oh, no.
First of all,
outside it, there was half a female mannequin, like the legs of a female mannequin outside with a window box on top of it. So I showed up and I was like, oh, what I've rented is a kill room. Dexter's kill room is what I've rented.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a mortuary slab that they managed to avoid showing in photos. There was a steel sink. There were dental impressions, like a huge collection of dental impressions all over this studio.
Stop. No, wait. Are you being serious? Wait, is that a joke?
100% serious.
I would have moved. I would have hopped back on the plane and gone back to Ireland.
There was an x-ray of a brain lit up on a light box. As you walk in the door, it's the first thing you see. I've never been so terrified in a place in my life.
That makes me want to scream. I will say that reminds me, 2 years ago, I was in Austin, Texas, and I had to be sort of like, I had to have my stay broken up because, that thing happens when you're somewhere for a certain amount of time. It's like, well, this one hotel can't accommodate you for all these days. Okay. So you have to switch over to one day and for doing one night over here. Anyway, so the second hotel I go to, first of all, and I'm a resilient person. I want to preface by saying that. Emotionally, physically, I can withstand a lot. I step inside. Listen, I'm in a hotel. Kick my shoes off. My feet made contact with that carpet. The texture was so unfamiliar to me. It was like wet, stiff, and also sticky. And here's the justification I make. I go, listen, it's not like I'm living on the floor. Like, if the bed is good, then I'll just wear my shoes around. Like, no problem. Go into the bathroom, flick on the light. A cockroach immediately scuttles away. I'm like, well, that's bad news bears. And I go, okay, not great. I'm like, I can power through. It's okay. I'm really like, I'm going to be good about this. It's fine. I'm on my way out the door because I'm going to go meet friends. And then just quite literally out of the corner of my eye, I notice there's like something like splattered on the curtain. I'm like, oh, that's really weird. And I go, oh, that is blood.
Oh.
And I went downstairs and I was like, I'm so sorry. I have to leave right now.
Because I'm... for my own safety. That is just, oh my God. Places, I don't expect much from a place. What I expect is a television that I can see from my bed.
Okay.
And I can adjust the temperature. And then it just the bed has to be fine. Fine and relatively clean. That's all.
Yes. And you want to not feel like you're walking into an environment where someone's going to jump out and make you their latest victim.
I know. And do you know what? I thought about this afterwards because there was a laptop that was open the whole time and I had to connect to that laptop for Wi-Fi. And then I realized, oh my God, there's a camera on the laptop.
Did you get up to any incendiary behavior? Be honest.
I mean, I was there for 3 days on my own in an Airbnb.
That's yes.
You know,
so first of all,
I did what needs to be done.
I'm going to say this, not if, but when the videos of you having your alone time surface online. First of all, to everyone listening at home, I want to say, A, you heard it here first, and B, let's figure out how to monetize ASAP, because I think
monetize immediately. That's the trick.
You know, I don't know if you've had this experience, and I swear I'll say this and then let's get on with the show, but I did stumble upon a video of a person I knew, like, jerking off once online.
You see, it's just like taking a video of yourself jerking off. It's just, it's a slippery slope. You know?
I'll say this. And his face was in the video and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the artistic director of that theater. Okay. Like I knew exactly who it was. And you know what? Listen, at the end of the day, you know what it is? Live, laugh, love.
Yeah, exactly.
Live, laugh, love, and then jerk off online. That's what they say.
There but for the grace of God.
I mean, listen, and he who is without sin, etc., etc.
Yeah. Cast the first ejaculation. Yeah, of course.
Yes, that was the original draft, actually. And then they were like, stone, just say stone. I have to say, I am delighted that you are here because, of course, the whole conceit with the show is we want people to bring in the things that really sort of like tickle their brain. The things that, like, if in a pinch, like if any of the three things that you brought in, like I know you could deliver a like college level dissertation on, you know, like the things that really speak to you. You've brought in 3 amazing people, polls, pop culture moments, things that exist in and around sort of just like the zeitgeist. And I want to start with the first one because you and I really actually share this passion in common. And I want this to be your springboard because one of your most favorite people in the world, who's also one of mine, and she's one of the 3 people we're discussing today, is Bette Midler.
Oh my God.
Gearoid, I want you to tell me everything. First of all, here's what I'm curious to know. At what point, do you have a memory of when you first became aware of Bette Midler?
Yes. The first time I ever saw Bette Midler was in the movie Big Business.
Oh,
and
good start.
It was, I mean, it's just a classic and it's one you return to again and again. Because my best friend when I was a child, his father was a projectionist in a cinema. So we used to get to go to the cinema every Sunday for free, and whatever film was on, we would just stay and watch. And that was where I first saw Big Business. And I thought Bette Midler was absolutely incredible. But I think the thing about Bette Midler is this sounds very cruel.
Okay, go ahead.
She has this unremarkable quality in the thing that she's doing, but she brings so much of that X Factor star power quality that you can't define, that she is absolutely mind-blowing. Like
she is Well, she's kind of interesting because she's also so, in a way, even when she debuted, so like from a different time.
Yeah.
Like there is something kind of 1930s screwball about her.
Yeah, completely. I mean, even I don't know anyone else that does. Like my favorite thing about Bette Midler is her music.
Yes.
And I don't know anyone else that does the type of music that she does. So, like she does those, like it's like contemporary pop. It's you know, torch songs. But then she does these mad, quirky, like Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy.
Yes.
Like who the hell else was doing Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy in the 80s?
Well, the Andrews Sisters, but in the 40s is the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and it shouldn't work so much. That's what I love about Bette Midler, is that so much of the stuff that she does really, really shouldn't work, but it does. She just brings this bit of magic.
She is this anomaly talent because she is, and I was thinking about this earlier today, and I don't mean this hyperbolically even, because there is a song even I could point to where this is quite literally true. You know, she has this, I think, really uncharacteristic, or sort of unparalleled rather, characteristic, which is that she has this uncanny ability to interpret songs also.
Yes.
And when I think especially about a song like Hello in There, which, you know, she does an intro. So she has this live album that was released in 1977 called Live at Last, and she sings that song, and she does this whole sort of funny, goofy intro to it as this kind of like old woman character, if memory serves. And then she launches into the song, which is all about sort of the pains and ills about getting older and what does life look like at this phase of your life. And, you know, you go into it laughing and then you're devastated. I mean, it is a devastating experience watching her inhabit something like that.
She's incredible. And it's like she just goes, okay, I have you where I want you with the comedy, and now I'm going to break your heart.
It's the ultimate foil. Right?
Yeah,
of
completely.
Like,
and the
bring
only
the
other
defenses down and then attack.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that is the best. That's a great way to describe it. It's defenses down and then attack. And the only person I've ever seen do that similarly is actually a Canadian artist called Jan Arden.
Jan Arden.
This is
okay.
So funny and instantly devastating. Like the you know, funny stories, and then time to break your heart, I'm afraid. And yeah, I think both of them just have this little quality that I just think is so rare. Nobody else does that. Nobody else thinks to make us laugh before they're like really honest.
Well, because you know what I think we kind of have lost sense of a little bit is this quality of being a little like, it's very sort of old timey, like razzle dazzle. Like we've kind of lost that a little bit. This kind of very specific show personship quality. Right? This idea of, it's almost like, you know, the energy of all the kids who band together to put on, you know, like the greatest show this small town's ever seen. Like there's something about that with the Bette Midler show that is so endearing to me. And I think also very true of, again, entertainers that would have occupied a space sort of pre her generation. Like there was this kind of energy and aesthetic she kind of brought from this other era that was so refreshing, because, you know, of course that first record came out in 71, but already by that point, you know, like lest we forget, by the time Bette Midler debuted, Barbra Streisand had already sworn off touring. You know, there was not like, there wasn't like, you know, there was a certainly, you know, Aretha Franklin was around, like when we talk about divas, but you know, it's not like she was cracking jokes in between songs, right?
Exactly. And I feel like if Bette Midler had been more I guess accomplished as a singer, she would have, I think, tried to find her own voice and her own style a bit more, but instead she went back to, I guess, the stuff that she liked as a kid, and she just reinterpreted it. And in doing that, she found this, I guess, this way of expressing herself that's just, it's unrepeatable. I mean, there's nobody that you could look to that was doing or has ever done the same stuff as Bette Midler. Like nobody can do it like her. She's hard to imitate. It just can't happen.
Well, and you even just think about, you know, how I think generally speaking, we've kind of lost this kind of singer, right? We don't really have interpretive singers anymore because everyone's either A, writing their material, or B, things are being written for them. Right? Yeah. Which admittedly, fine, its own kind of interpretation, but no one is really doing, frankly, what which is what so many singers used to do, which was kind of recycling what felt like the same 20 songs over and over again, but they would feel fresh and alive because of whomever was singing it, right?
Yeah.
And so we just don't have that anymore.
I know it's really sad because I feel like now when people are trying to sell themselves, they have to say what they're like or give us the paragraph on who you are as an artist.
Yes.
Whereas I think Bette Midler, I don't think she ever would have been able to do that. Because she was just she was doing stuff
right.
like like she did that album of the just comedy, just like spoken word stuff. Mud will get flung.
Yes.
And I'm sure her record label were like, what the hell are you doing? You just...
That's such a great point. There is not an easy elevator pitch with Bette Midler.
There really isn't. And it was so possible. I mean, definitely for me, to know her as an actress in these, Disney movies, these silly comedies, and not to be aware of the other side of her at all. And I think it was very late. Like, I think it was Beaches before I knew she was a singer.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, now I was young because I was quite young when Big Business came out, because I was going to the cinema before I should have been going to the cinema because I could get in free.
Got it.
But yeah, it was Beaches, and it was when Experience the Divine came out, and I remember my aunt had a cassette copy of Experience the Divine, and I thought, what the hell is this? And I remember listening to it going, ugh, what is this? I don't understand it at all, because I was very pop. Just give me pop music.
For sure.
3-minute pop nuggets. And it took me a while to get into it. And then once I did, I feel like Bette Midler she's one of those artists that once you like what she does, you kind of want more of it. But because nobody else does it, you just end up going for more Bette Midler.
That is an incredible point. But now you kind of talk, though, about being very mindful and aware of her operating and sort of working as an actor in comedy. So can I assume there's been a point there where you've gone back and you've seen movies like The Rose, for example?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. The Rose, that was like... It was so funny.
That movie is everything. That
was one of the last Bette Midler movies that I went to.
Really? What took you so long?
Well,
for a lot of people, that's the starting point.
I was like Big Business, Ruthless People, Outrageous Fortune,
right.
And Beaches, and it was Bette Midler doing that Bette Midler thing that Bette Midler does. And then I went back and watched The Rose, and it blew my mind. And do you know what I heard, which I thought this was absolutely... I was so stunned when I heard this, that Joan Rivers wrote the first draft of The Rose.
Are you kidding me?
Swear to God.
First of all, if that is true, that is maybe one of my new favorite showbiz factoids.
It's incredible. I heard her say it on an interview that she, now I don't know how much the movie changed between her writing the first draft and, it ended up as it was. Yeah. But I just thought, wow, it kind of blew my mind when I heard that.
What a pull. Well, now it's also worth mentioning. So you have this, I think, rather sort of novel experience, actually, because you did sort of work alongside Joan, did you not? Weren't you touring with her?
Yeah, I did. I opened for her in Dublin and in a couple of dates in the UK. When it was what actually turned out to be her last tour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, it was one of those things. It happens a lot, actually, because when artists do UK tours, particularly American artists, they forget that Ireland is not part of the UK. So they book a tour support for the UK and then realize, shit, I have to pay for this person's flights and accommodation. So usually they go to a promoter in Ireland and say, hey, not bringing the support, can you get me someone? And I just happened to be I was one of the people the promoter picked, and then Joan watched some videos and then picked me. So,
well, that has to be, first of all, if that is not a badge of honor for the rest of your life. I mean,
I've dined out on that story.
Well, I'm curious to know, when you were touring with her, did you get to know her at all? Was she friendly with you? What was that like?
She was really sweet. She was a very nice lady. She was a lot more refined, actually, and sweet than I thought she was going to be. She was so nice, and she was so she was very kind. I mean, I think one of the nicest stories I have about Joan Rivers is when we were waiting to do one of the shows in Dublin. She saw a tweet that was a guy, I think he was from Sweden, who had come on. He was like 18 years of age. He'd come on his own. None of his friends would come with him. And he just like tweeted that he was here and it was the greatest thing he's ever done. He was on his own. And Joan saw the tweet and went, find him, get him. And, you know, she brought him backstage and she gave him, you know, she was on that show, Fashion Police at the time.
Yes,
and she did like a ceremony to induct him into Fashion Police as a Joan Ranger and gave him a badge and then gave him, asked if he had food back where he was staying. And he said no, he was going to get a burger. And then she gave him the Rider, which was fancy, expensive cheese. And then I think she brought him back to his hostel. Like it was just somebody being really, really kind, not, you know, not getting any mileage out of it, not going, look what I'm doing on Twitter for social media likes. She was just being really sweet to somebody when she didn't have to be, and it was just
that is kind of the MO on her, actually. The thing that everyone sort of says about Joan when she wasn't performing is that they were struck by not only how sweet she was, but she was quite there was like my understanding is that there was a very reserved quality to her, a little bit. I mean, and also sometimes and you mentioned, by the way, just being like also like sort of like fancy and refined. I mean, this is the woman who, like, you must have seen that documentary and seeing the inside of her apartment. Like that, my favorite one-liner ever is she says, "This is how Marie Antoinette would have lived if she had had money."
So great. It's so
But I
great.
cut you off. What were you going to say?
She was just, I mean, she knew, like, every so often there would be like, people would be standing in a corridor or something and she'd realize, oh, I'll host. You know, as if it's a party, and she'd say, so, you know, so it was 1982 and I was asked to present an Oscar or whenever it was. And she'd tell a story about, you know, having an argument with Barbara Streisand via fax over who got to wear what color. Like, it was just these stories that were just
incredible. You know what? She's one of those people actually I just was thinking about recently, and I was like, God, I miss that person, and I miss what she did and what she contributed, and it's an enormous loss when someone like that goes. I mean, it just is. It just is.
Yeah, because I feel that she represented something in society. Like, she had this very, very strange platform in that she could say really whatever the hell she wanted.
Yes.
And everyone went, oh, it's Joan Rivers. And I don't know if anyone will ever have that platform the way she had it, or be taken as, I guess, that would not be taken seriously in what they say. I mean, she got some flack for some stuff, but I just feel that the place that she was it was a very old school point of view, and I think that nobody will ever hold that again. No. Which is sad for comedy. Well,
and because the culture's changed so much. I mean, it's funny. I even think about, you know, going back to Bette Midler. I mean, and this idea also about time and place. I mean, we are so narrowly, you know, moving again to this era where there will be a person then who does not do what Bette Midler does, because as you said before, there's only one of her. There's no other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious now, are you at all familiar with Bridget Everett?
No.
She is an American comic and actor, but she holds space or held space primarily in the New York cabaret scene, and has since, you know, gone on and done bigger things. I will say, if you are looking for a recommendation, she has a show on HBO called Somebody Somewhere, which is an absolute gorgeous little show. But she, I would say, is sort of her, meaning Bette, her most sort of obvious heir apparent. That I think she's the one sort of holding the torch. But there is no one else. I mean, it really is like, because Bette, you're right, was so singular in that way. And I'm curious to know, have you ever had an opportunity to see Bette Midler live?
Yes, I did. A couple of years ago, I can't remember, I was having a rough time for some reason, I can't remember why, but Bette Midler was coming to London and it was sold out, and I came home and I had been out with my friends and I had maybe, you know, one gin and tonic too many, and I came home. And
only one too many.
Just one. Yeah. And I think that was allowed.
Yeah.
And I came home and I went on the Ticketmaster, whatever that you know, sell on the site.
Yes.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to me and my boyfriend, we're going to Bette Midler, and let's see how much this is going to cost, because that's how much we're paying. And I think I paid about 1,500
For 2 tickets?
For 2 tickets.
I mean, that does check out.
And I was, you know, it was Wembley Arena, and I was maybe 10 rows from the front. And Jan Arden actually was 5 rows from the front.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was the first time I met Jan Arden.
What a wild time.
And my boy, it's funny, it was the first time I met Jan Arden, and my boyfriend was sitting beside me, and I went, oh my God, Jan Arden. And she went, hello, because she's absolutely gorgeous and a lovely individual. And I said, I really love your album, Jan Arden, because she has an album called Jan Arden. And she
sure does.
Then was very nice about it. And then I don't know what happened, but verbal diarrhea came out of my mouth for about 3 minutes. And then when she walked away, my boyfriend just said, what was that?
You know what? But there are just these people, because you know what it is? It's, again, time and place. When else are you going to have the opportunity to say, listen, Jan Arden, I have these feelings I've been suppressing for a long time, and now this is my moment to tell you everything that I've ever thought about you.
Yeah, I really should, and I should. And it was the most incredible night, because Bette Midler, like, she's just a unique experience live. And even when she did, you know, Wind Beneath My Wings, she just gave this beautiful, you know, 3 or 4 sentences beforehand about how she sang this song once. It's no longer her song. She has no entitlement to it. It's your song, and I'm going to do it the way you want it. And she did it, and the place was just, you know, climbing the walls. It was just incredible.
Here's what I'm also fascinated by when it comes to your attachment to Bette. And I was sort of given prior intel about this, and I think you might be right in saying that you're maybe alone here. Would you like to share with our listening audience what your favorite Bette Midler record is? Because for anyone who, let me spoil it. It's not the Divine Miss M. It's not
the Divine Miss M.
It's not. It isn't. It isn't even the soundtrack to Beaches. It isn't. It isn't the record where From a Distance is on. Your favorite record, Gearóid Farrelly, is?
It is Bed of Roses.
Oh, there it is on camera from 1995.
From 1995.
Why does that record speak to you so much?
I don't know why though. I actually don't know, because in looking at the canon of Bette Midler, it doesn't really fit. It's the one that like is kind of stuck sideways in there. I think Some People's Lives, or even the one she did after Bathhouse Betty, is probably slightly more true to Bette Midler. But I remember the first time I heard this album, and there was a show in the UK called Ruby Wax Meets.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah, my God, yes.
When that album came out, Bette Midler was on it. And Ruby Wax asked her about the new album, and she said, oh, my favourite song on it is To Deserve You. And she was on the escalator in Harrods, and she just sang a bit of it, and it was so dramatic and camp, and, you know, there was... like, it's a song that has absolutely no dignity whatsoever in it. And then they showed a clip of it. And I just thought, oh my God, that's incredible. Because I think it really spoke to me, because that's the sort of teenager I was. It was like, you know, oh, To Deserve You. You know, when I loved, right. I loved with all I had.
Was there an element, maybe also what spoke to you about Bette was also this sort of speaking to your inner closeted gay child, knowing that she was this gay icon, triumvirate, sort of once in a generation talent?
Oh, you think?
Maybe. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah.
It was, oh yeah. And I mean, everything on this album is so... yeah, it's just so camp and dramatic, and you know, and then at the end there's like that song "I Believe in You," which is like, I don't believe that Haagen-Dazs and motherhood have done my body any good.
I don't believe in superstars and fancy food or foreign cars, but Haagen-Dazs and motherhood have done my body any good. That Elvis is alive and well, that courtesy has gone to hell, that kindness is in short supply, that little kids should have to die, but I believe in love. I believe in dreamers.
Like, it's just... you know, it's like
God bless
they
her.
are perfect drag queen songs.
Yes.
They really are.
Well, because also Bette Midler is a drag queen.
Completely.
Even
Completely.
though I will say a through line between her and Joan. First of all, have you ever met Bette Midler?
No.
Well,
The
neither have
dream.
I. But my understanding is that she is, I think, much to the shock of people who meet her, pleasant, but very reserved, very quiet, and actually, her own apparent natural sense of humor is not as bawdy, let's say, as what it is on stage.
Okay.
The person she is on stage, that is very much a persona and a character. It is this, and you know, and also, lest we forget, Bette Midler was a person who was sort of imagined by gay men. I mean, you know, the people who were writing for her,
Yes.
Bruce Valanche, those were all gay men who were writing very campy, big, you know, sort of,
Yeah.
you know, bawdy jokes, right? And so that was all a character in a way.
Okay. I know one of my friends is a comedian and did a TV show with Bette Midler in the UK and got to use her bathroom.
Was it
needed
clean?
the loo and said, "Bet, can I use your loo?" And Bette said, "Sure."
Oh.
And I every time I see her, I get her to tell me that story and just.
Oh my God! There
Because
are.
I feel like she's
go.
just done. I feel like Bette Midler is somebody who makes what are perceived missteps in her career all of the time, particularly in her music career, all the time. Everything's a
Right.
misstep.
She
but
does not do a
everything
commercial
is-
choice. She
but
does not do a
everything's perfect.
Yeah. Well, at the risk of sounding hokey, it's because she's listening to her inner voice. She's doing what feels authentic to her, which is also, again, talk about rarefied space. So few people,
Yeah,
I think,
hundreds
are.
of millions of dollars will do that for you.
I mean, well, and speaking of hundreds of millions of dollars, I think this is as good a segue as any to pivot to another one of your pop culture pulls, if you will, and one of the people that you say sort of has factored largely in your life. Speaking of a singing diva, girl, are we going to talk about Miss Kylie Minogue or what?
Kylie Minogue.
Can we hold space also very quickly for the fact that this is a woman north of 40 in the pop sphere who is currently having such a moment with Param Param. I am so delighted.
Same. I feel like it's every time Kylie Minogue has success, I feel like it's overdue.
Yes, 100%. Because in a way,
everything's
it
just as
feels
great.
that because that feels apt. Because in a way, I think there was a moment in the 80s, especially, where she was kind of being positioned, primed to be like the competitor counterpoint to Madonna, right? But Kylie's career never really certainly did very well for herself. I'm not trying to diminish that, but didn't see that kind of stratospheric, like once in a lifetime success that a person like Madonna saw, right?
Yeah, I guess in America and Canada, definitely not. I mean, in the UK and Ireland and Europe, she definitely did have massive success at the very start of her career.
Yes.
But it's really strange. I mean, that was a really, really strange time. And I think that this is where I guess early Kylie Minogue it always kind of mystifies me, because Kylie Minogue was the biggest thing since sliced bread, you know, at the start of her career. There was nobody bigger than Kylie Minogue. And yet she was so vilified left, right and centre for being part of, you know, the Stock Aitken and Waterman Hit Factory, and it was considered homogenized pop and
bubblegum pop, right?
Yeah, bubblegum pop. And the gays were kind of, it was all, we were all pretending that, I guess we were pretending Kylie wasn't for the gays, you know, and it was the post, you know, it was the tail end of, I guess, the AIDS crisis.
Right.
It had become homogenized. What we had with Boy George and Marilyn and Divine and all of that had all been bled out by the AIDS crisis. All of that just stopped. And what we had was Stock Aitken and Waterman, and their whole ethos was the sound of a bright young Britain. It was, you know, boys and girls next door, completely sexless, you know.
Right.
And that was, I think, how Kylie was marketed. And it was, Like it was a strange start, but that music, those first 4 albums, I mean, there isn't a dud on any of them. I mean,
well, that's a really interesting thing also to bring up, because again, when you factor in sort of the cultural shift, because different than now, where she is so, I mean, obviously claimed by the gay community and in particular gay men, and I think that's something that's kind of sort of cool actually now a little bit, that she sort of like belongs to this group of people. But you're right that in the late 80s and early 90s, that was not, because the thing, obviously, again, to counterpoint, Madonna obviously had a very enthusiastic gay following, but also women loved her, and also, you know, like straight dudes wanted to fuck her. So there was also like that thing that kind of like she was for everyone in a way that didn't feel so exclusive to the gay community. Whereas I think, you know, especially now, again, because that is Kylie's slot, but that wouldn't have been so easy to swallow then because of all of the because of the homophobia that was just so...
Homophobia and bigotry. Those old chestnuts.
Those old chestnuts that just keep biting us in the ass, huh?
Yeah.
Like we still just can't quite get over that hill.
Padam and padam.
I mean, and that's padam on that. But do you like... So then, gun to your head, if there was one Kylie song that you had... only one that you had to listen to for the rest of your life, you would pick which song?
Better the Devil You Know.
An incredible choice.
It's just an absolute pop banger. I love it. I mean, there's so many. There's another song on that Rhythm of Love album called Secrets, which I play so often. It's such a great song. But I mean, she, to my mind, she can't go wrong. She has such a massive, like, I mean, she has had so many albums that I forget about songs. Like I heard All the Lovers there a couple of weeks ago and I thought, oh my God,
right.
What a track.
Well, and she's also interesting to me as well because she's a kind of person who I think also has this kind of unique thing. For me, it's like, it's her and Dolly Parton who also seem just sort of like, just beloved. Like there's not, like, how about this? Even someone who isn't a Kylie Minogue fan still only has nothing but great things to say about her.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that she occupies this very, very rare space in that she is the girl next door who we heard a lot from earlier in her career. You know, she was on a soap. She did interviews left, right, and center. She was never off the television. And now I feel that in that respect, she's kind of done her time. You know, we don't hear that much from her. We don't. You know, the big interviews are quite rare.
Yes, true. Except for because she's having this moment with Padam now, she's really making the rounds. But that is generally true. You are absolutely right.
Which is kind of rare, actually, because I saw even there was a clip of her on a radio show, and she was, you know, joking around. And I thought, God, I haven't seen this Kylie in a long time.
Right.
But I think she's great, and I think the only thing, my bugbear.
Oh.
With Kylie, and I do have one.
Which is?
I sometimes think she could be slightly more active as an ally.
Explain what that looks like to you, because I would like to explore this.
I don't think she gets involved in politics. Well, she doesn't get involved in politics.
No.
I think her...
Also very kind of interesting, very like sort of very parallel to Dolly.
Yeah. And I feel that we're very clear of her position that she loves the gays. But every so often I kind of like her to show it a little bit, because... You
want her to say that, you want the famous person that you love to say the thing. You want them to like to name the politician, to go fuck themselves, and to say emphatically, this is what I believe. Yes. Yeah,
I feel like that the longer we have Kylie, I feel like the bigger her hammer gets. And I feel every so often, like Thor, I'd like her to bring it down every so often.
Right.
You know?
Well, and that could also speak to why, not unlike Dolly, she has that likability thing. It's because she doesn't really open her mouth in that way, right? She does this incredible thing where she can sort of play both sides of the fence, even though I think Dolly is an example of someone who's kind of finessed being apolitical down to a science. I think Kylie is slightly more political in that I think she's slightly more outspoken, but it is true that she doesn't really say the thing.
No, she doesn't. And she, like, even there were things with, the Sultan of Brunei and, I just
I don't know the
her
Sultan of Brunei story. Can you inform me? I do not know this.
I can't remember what it was. I think there were people boycotting the Dorchester or something, and I can't quite remember what it was, but there was a part of me that was like, come on, Kylie, say something. I think maybe it had to do with the laws against homosexuality over there. I don't quite remember what it was, but I remember being a bit miffed.
Mimi, Google Kylie Minogue and Sultan of Brunei and just see what happens. And then drop it in the chat. Yeah. Well, do you feel this way? My kvetch with Kylie actually is I wish she was also a little more judicious about the material she sang, by which I mean, I think Kylie is an incredible singles artist. But for me, when you the deeper listen to an album tends to not always match that. Yeah,
she has her clunkers.
Fervor. Yes.
She does have her clunkers. That is definitely true. I'm trying to think of one. I didn't love the X album.
Didn't love the X album. I mean, did I really need Monday Blues off of the, disco album? Not really.
Probably not. No, or Fine Wine.
Fine Wine.
No.
Do I really need a woman who's middle-aged to be talking about how much Mondays suck?
Yeah, no. Especially not one that has, her level of success and money. And I think Mondays, I would imagine, in Kylie's household, still pretty good.
What's also, in terms of her also kind of being an interesting one as it pertains to, Mimi just dropped something in the motherfucking chat, y'all. The Sultan of Brunei introduced Sharia law. He's part owner of the Dorchester collection, so it prompted a boycott of these properties, which include the Dorchester, the Beverly Hills Hotel, and more. And so then I guess Kylie was performing there?
I think Kylie performed at the door. I think there was definitely something. And there was just a part of me that was like, I feel the difference between her and Dolly is if you were to take Dolly's album sales, and there would still be a proportion of straight, men with questionable views who would buy Dolly Parton records.
Absolutely.
Whereas I think with Kylie, I would imagine if we were to find out who had ordered the physical CD single of Padam Padam, who was straight, I would imagine it is 3 men that would stand very nervously in a room, and then I would imagine 2 of them would fuck each other at some point while they were waiting.
And then the third one would jerk off while the other 2 were fucking each other.
And then they'd all vow not to tell anyone. And then they, sit back down with their CD singles on their lap.
And you know what? That's their prerogative, and that's allowed.
But I think Kylie has to acknowledge that the majority of her audience are us little old gays.
Right. I do wonder about that, because I think maybe because people like you and I, our instinct is just to be sort of a little more transparent about our feelings. And I've never quite understood what's the word I'm looking for? Reluctance to just be a little more forthcoming about one's feelings.
Yeah. And I guess maybe it's that she has, been very successful for a very long time, and she's very cushioned from the world. And,
I guess, but you're right. If her fan base is primarily gay men, what does she have to lose by saying, actually, I would love it if gay people weren't having to encounter the insane amount of, harassment that they currently are? What backlash from her fan base could she possibly have from that?
I know. I mean, there would be literally nothing.
Parades would be thrown in her honor.
Absolutely. I mean, she has this. She is very much the queen of the gays. I mean, I think even the whole Padam Padam thing, that was so shared. It was so funny when that song came out. I thought, yay, new Kylie track, and I would say I listened to it incessantly for weeks, just by scrolling. I just heard it.
Oh, because it's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's being co-opted for every sound. Yes.
And then I realized I haven't actually played this full song. Like, it's been my earworm for 2 weeks, but I haven't actually played it.
Right.
And that's the level of support I think that she has.
Yes.
From my echo chamber.
I think you're right. Listen, your echo chamber, which is currently being populated by another gay man. That person is me. I don't know if you picked up on that. It's me, Gearoid. It's me.
It's you.
Let's move on, because I wanted to save the best for last. And also something, and I know, especially in the queer canon, what I'm about to tell you is deeply controversial. So I want you to brace yourself. Please still be my friend once I tell you this. Get ready.
Okay.
Because you, as part of your third pop culture poll, have given us the Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls.
What I would like to say to you now, and this is where I need you to be strong. Okay?
Okay.
I can't even believe I'm about to admit this on a mic. I've never seen a whole episode through of the Golden Girls.
Lame.
I know.
How?
I know.
How are you? What has gone into your formation?
I want you to know that Mimi Collins, our producer, literally just chimed in the chat and just wrote, I gasped. I know. First of all, I want to say this. I'm not at all proud of it. I think it's a disgusting personality flaw. I have every chance to correct it, and yet for some reason I have not.
Well, I will say this. While I judge you very harshly for this.
You should.
And while I think you should be ashamed,
and
very much ashamed.
And I am.
I am somewhat jealous.
Explain.
Because I think when you think of an 80s sitcom, you think of something that is a little bit tired, a little bit, I'm going to have to forgive a lot watching this.
Right.
But I will promise you that there is no lead in time. There is no, just get over the first season of Schitt's Creek or Parks and Rec.
Right.
This is 4 characters, north, south, east, and west. They do what they say on the tin, and it is comedy bangers.
Well, can I tell you, here's what I know to be true, though, also, and again, in my very sort of bird's eye view of the show, is that the social politics of that show have aged quite well as well. Because they were so, for Christ's sakes, they were talking about AIDS on that show, and we're talking, deep in the 80s when, certainly that would have been at its most controversial, heated, divisive, that was not something that I think people were at all quick to even consider broaching in a 80s family sitcom.
And the AIDS stuff they did, and they did a couple of episodes devoted to it, that was very smart. Because Blanche was the, as they say themselves, the slut.
Yes.
And Rose was the squeaky clean, and it was Rose that thought she might have been infected with AIDS.
Right.
Everything was very smart. And one of my favorite episodes, and I rewatched it actually to talk to you today, is Ebb Tide's Revenge, which is, there is a running joke all through the series that Dorothy's brother is a cross-dresser. And he dies of a heart attack. And his wife comes to the funeral, and Sophia doesn't talk to his wife. And it's all, the whole episode is about Sophia being ashamed of her son. And the whole thing the whole thing speaks to, I guess, the mothers whose sons had died of AIDS. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's the most brilliantly written episode. It's just, and that's what I loved about the Golden Girls, is you wouldn't be able to get a credit card through the brilliance. Like, it was just wall to wall.
Let go of the shame. So what if he was different? It's okay that you loved him.
I did love him. He was my son, my little boy. But every time I saw him, I always wondered, What I did, what I said, when was the day that I did whatever I did to make him the way he was.
What he was, Sophia, was a good man.
Now, when you first are watching the show, are you watching it on your own as it's on television? Is it something that you are sort of gaining access to through an older family member? Like, how does the show even sort of factor into your life?
Well, I first saw The Golden Girls. It used to be on Network 2 in Ireland, and it was, God, I would have been, I guess, 11 or 12, and it would come on after a program, after a soap, I think, that my family used to watch. And when it would come on, I would be allowed to watch it until something was introduced that I shouldn't be seeing.
Ah,
okay. And
okay.
the number of times that I was sent to bed immediately after Blanche saying "men."
Right. I love that's all it took for your parents. She said men, and we didn't know where it was going to go from there. So he said, Gearoid, we want you to go to bed because we don't know what this is going to elicit in you.
Blanche made it too enticing.
And that is honestly, listen, they're blaming gay men for grooming, but it was actually all Rue McClanahan. It was explicitly her fault.
It was, and it's so funny. Like, I think the best sitcom, like if it creates its own little world, it's completely timeless. And this is absolutely timeless. Like that episode that I mentioned there, Ebb Tide's Revenge, there is so much in that is, I guess, on paper, problematic. The words that are used are all wrong. All of this, like wall to wall, there's loads of that stuff. But the characters just have so much heart, and you see exactly what they're doing. That it just goes over your head. Like it's so good.
Well, and there's something I think also to be said about intention, right? Because even if you are broaching, let's say, uncomfortable subject matter, if your intention, if you're very clear, how about this? If you're very clear about, and I'm sure you can relate to this certainly as a comedian, if you are very clear about who is on the receiving end of your barb. Yeah. If you are not, so long as you are punching up and not punching down, you're probably fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And Golden Girls, the intention, they were always on the side of the angels. It was just, I don't think there'll ever be anything like it. I feel like Sex and the City was probably a watered down version of it, to be honest.
Well, yes. And it's funny to think about really actually, and now maybe it's more direct comparison would be And Just Like That. Because of course now, and I think this was even sort of called attention to when And Just Like That debuted, which is that those actors, if not the exact ages, are approximately the ages that, you know, Betty White, B. Arthur, Rue McClanahan, they all would have been when they first started Golden Girls, which is insane to think about. And also, what an interesting thing when you consider then, again, our cultural approaching of age, right? Because so much of Golden Girls, I mean, these were women who were really midlife, but made to look like they were about to die tomorrow. I mean, like they were very much made to look like grannies, right?
Yes.
Whereas now, if you had that show with women who were, let's say, north of 50, they would still look really slick and pulled together. And I mean, how about this? Even with a show like Grace and Frankie with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, you know, these are women who would have been in their 70s, but they still, Jane Fonda, especially because of her character, is like slick and sexy, and her hair is done and she looks immaculate. And, you know, there just wasn't that 100%. And, you know, there wasn't that kind of emphasis or even any consideration given to, certainly not, I think, women in that era especially, but then certainly not women that age.
Completely. And it's so funny because the 80s was such a fascinating time for that, because, you know, on primetime television, you had the Golden Girls, you had Cagney and Lacey, you had Murder, She Wrote. There were all these older women who, I guess, weren't the typical glamorous look that you would imagine that, well, certainly that TV stars need to have now.
Right. Where now you need to look like you need to be 21 and look like you've already made like 8 trips to the quote unquote dentist, if you know what I mean. Like I will never get over that 21-year-old I'm sorry to say, primarily female actors. And of course, we know that's because they're encountering a kind of unfair judgment and critique that men never are. But when you see these 21-year-old young women who still are not even fully physically developed, don't even know what they're going to look like when they're older, and they are already fucking with their face to the degree that they no longer even resemble the slightest approximation of what they looked like going into it. They kind of like, we're all becoming now like these sex doll versions of ourselves, which I know is I know that's your preferred aesthetic of Gearoid, but that's just where you and I differ. That's just where you and I differ. Okay.
Absolutely. I like those big, just punched look on my lips.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I know the kind of like looks like you're about to stick yourself to the side of a fishbowl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm going for. See these little pin babies? I'm going to get them fixed.
Oh, can I say, joking aside, if you did that, that would literally break my heart. If our little Gearoid Farrelly was someone who just decided that he wanted to look like Dolph Lundgren, or whatever, whatever the fuck his name is, like that he wants to look like his face is going to be perfectly square. That would, like a rectangle. That would just break my heart.
One of those great big chins.
Yeah, with the dimple.
With the big bum.
But it is, I will say, it's interesting about Golden Girls, though, that I think that show is an anomaly. Because the one thing that I do kind of take umbrage with now when it comes to storytelling that tends to focus on, let's say, quote unquote, older characters, that there's this tendency I find where they kind of need to make them either overtly sexual, overtly gratuitous, or overtly cutesy, or, you know, like, and actually what I thought was kind of incredible about the Golden Girls is that it did seem like they could just be, certainly, yes, they had their archetypes and they were different, they had roles, but that they could also just be like older women who had learned something about their lives. You know,
like exactly.
In spite of it being a broad comedy, like they were so quite grounded.
Yeah, they were really grounded, and they could be, they addressed things that nobody else was talking about. Like, for example, these are the pre-Viagra days. So they, you know, I remember there was an episode where, you know, somebody was going out with somebody who couldn't get it up. And I mean, of course, there was like the incredible line where Blanche says, "That's never happened to me."
Yeah, right.
but these are the days pre-internet.
Right.
You know, so I guess people that were watching the show, women that were watching the show, were like, oh, I guess this is just a single problem that only happens to me. And I'm this, you know, I'm trapped in this thing. And then all of a sudden people are talking about it on television. And it was so, I guess that's the difference with television between now and then. And even with Cagney and Lacey, there was those episodes where Lacey got breast cancer and they were like, there's this new thing, it's called a lumpectomy. And that was their way to get this out into the world, because there was no other, you know, broad mainstream information highway that they could just send this into.
What an incredible point. I hadn't even thought of that, but you're absolutely right. There's a whole reason why appointment television existed, because yes, of course, it's like, you know, these are famous shows, and listen, either if you don't catch it at 7:30, then you're fucked, right? But because it's not like we have satellite TV where you can watch it 10,000 other times over the course of a day. But you're absolutely right how it also, in some ways, television especially, is really helping to foster a sense of community, because then for women, let's say, who are watching the Golden Girls, who think maybe they have their own sort of private singular quibble about either themselves getting older or having to deal with someone else getting older, that actually, no, it's not. It can be, not to sound like I'm, you know, trying to mount, you know, some soapbox here, but I mean that it does help to provide like a sense of community, and that there's like a world beyond you, right? Especially in that era where you can feel quite isolated.
Yeah, and also it's one of those shows that when you look at it now, like, I think if you don't know the Golden Girls, your thought on it could be like, oh, it's this great big, you know, fancy property from the 80s. I wonder, will they remake it? And yet when you watch it, you go, oh, they don't need to remake this. This stands up the way it did back then. It's
totally.
I think it's a good example of 80s television that was so well made and so well thought through that it's just completely timeless.
Well, and isn't it interesting that in the wave of sort of reboot culture that we've found ourselves in, that it is the one that's sort of been left alone. Now, understandably, I of course appreciate that largely, is because, you know, unfortunately, a great number of the actors who were a part of that show are no longer with us. If not now, I think maybe they might
Yeah, all of
be
them.
deceased.
Yeah, they're all
because
gone.
Betty White was the last one. But, you know, that they wouldn't even consider to, like, you know, fresh it up with a new cast or blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know, like they did with, not that this was a new cast, but, you know, certainly we saw reboots of Murphy Brown. We saw reboots of Roseanne. We saw, you know, but that Golden Girls, I think it is, you're right. It is such a testament to that show's quality that they would say, like, we need to leave this untouched because it is exactly what it needs to be. Right. Speaking of things that are perfect, babes, I think you are going to get your best guest medal because you were perfect. This was
Thank you so much, Liam.
well, and also how nice this was really, if you think about it, our first chance actually properly speaking to each other. What a joy and a delight you are.
It was so nice. It was so nice to meet you. And I think I'm back in Vancouver in October.
Well, this is what you were saying. So first of all, two things. One, you need to confer with me about where you're staying. Because obviously we've learned that you can't be trusted and left your own devices. And we must hang out when you're in town next. What a blast.
Absolutely.
Now let people know, because this is your sort of time to, I want you to say all the things that people should be doing and following you. So first of all, we should say they should be subscribing, rating, and reviewing to your podcast, Agony Rants. Yes?
That's right. That's my podcast with Niamh Kavanagh, who won the Eurovision for Ireland in 1993. So she's a goddess, and we're lucky to have her. So that comes out every Monday. And it is, it's one of my favorite things to do. And it's very popular. I thought it was going to die. Honestly, I thought we'd do 6 of them. Nobody would listen. It would be over. But it's actually, it's big.
And that in a nutshell is the absolute Irish mentality of, like, you know something? I was going to pursue something. And I did think just strictly by me being involved, it would fail. But as it turns
I'm
out,
astonished.
yeah, I cannot believe it. Well, let people know also, where can they find you on social media?
What are your
handles?
Farrelly, and it's spelled Gearoid Farrelly.
Yes, it sure is.
2 R's,
it sure
2
is.
L's. And if you're in Ireland or the UK, I'm on tour. I'm paused at the moment, but the next leg of my tour is September to January. So I'll be all around the place.
You were a delight. Thank you. The fact that you would make time for this, in spite of the time difference, my God.
My God. Always. And if ever somebody pulls out, just call me.
It
was my pleasure.
First of all, don't tell me that, because you know that I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to be like, I don't care that it's 1 a.m. your time. Get on the mic right now.
There's an episode. Come on and talk about Wilson Phillips. It'll be my dream.
Part 2. And that's part 2. Gearoid, thank you so much. You were a vision, a blast. I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure. You're the best.
My thanks to Gearóid Farrelly, a gem, a vision, an absolute prince amongst men. Be sure to follow him on socials. If you can, go see him perform, go see him live. Be sure to rate and review and subscribe to his podcast, Agony Rants. And speaking of rating, reviewing, and subscribing, this show, believe it or not, I do strictly only for validation, and particularly validation online. So if you could give this show a 5-star review, write a little blurb, it would mean the world. Share the show with your friends, your family, your loved ones. Also, mortal enemies. I will happily take mortal enemies. And also, as a little added caveat, I want to leave you with something that I want to tell you everything about, something that I've been obsessing over recently. I will say, if you have not, oh my God, it's past the point now. It's not in theaters, but if you can find it, whether it's streaming, if it's a DVD copy, I don't know if it's up in the cloud. I really don't know how movies work anymore. But if you have not seen Past Lives with Greta Lee, it is such a gorgeous Christmas card of a movie. It is about this fraught relationship between these two childhood best friends who then grow up and grow apart. And then the movie centrally kind of talking about them kind of sort of reintroducing each other back into each other's lives, and then realizing maybe that there are sort of deeper feelings on the underbelly of everything. It's just an absolutely gorgeous movie. I highly recommend that you watch it. And for Pete's sake, again, I'm Liam Gareau. Be sure to follow me on socials at Liam Gareau across all platforms. We will see you next time with another fabulous new guest. And until then, everyone, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.